Hey, 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 welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Real Fit Pros. It's your boy, Jonathan Loudermilk here, and I've got a whole gang of fellas hanging out on today's episode. I've got my partner in crime. I call him my PIC, Mark Zalmanoff, the
Yes,
fitness
sir.
ninja, and he's going to do the introduction for our special guest we have today.
Yeah, we got a super special guest. He's a super friend. So I'm gonna give a little intro for those of you who don't know him. I have a feeling a lot of people that will be listening to this do know him, but nevertheless, this man is a loving husband and father who pushes himself to live in excellence so he can set an example for those around him, which he absolutely does. At one point in his life, he weighed over 300 pounds. We'll get into that in a little bit. Before getting focused on his health and losing more than 100 pounds without fad diets or weight loss drugs. An action taker with his finger on the pulse who focuses on service to others above all else, leading him to produce more than 7 figures in revenue no matter what industry he has worked in, legally and illegally. Not one to turn away from a challenge. He looks to get out of his comfort zone as much as possible. Again, I can truly speak to that. From tech support in a software startup to vice president of a multi-million-dollar consulting company, he understands what it means to start at the bottom and work his way to the top. A servant first, operating with utmost integrity and humility, but not afraid to tell it like it is, which obviously we love that. Confidence and empathy are his superpowers. By going all in every area of life, he strives to inspire success-driven winners to become the most elite version of themselves. How does he do it? Well, along with the title of his best-selling book, by the way, he lives by the motto, crush the day before it crushes you. Ladies and gentlemen, Drewbie Wilson, happy to have you with us today, brother.
What a hell of an intro. I promise I didn't pay for that, but that was real good, fellas. Real good.
I feel like we need like applause going off right now. Like almost out of my chair. I'm like, I feel like I gotta stand up now.
We need that little button.
Right?
No, I'm super grateful to be here, fellas. It's an honor to call both of you friends, mentors, family of choice. I mean, it's just been such a wild journey that we've been on together these last couple of years, and the cool thing is knowing that we're just getting started, man.
Yeah, wait till we get good, right?
Wait till we get good.
That's the game.
Drewbie, you've listened to our show. You know the drill. We always love to kick things off with a story time. So what you got for us, man?
Story time. So when you hit me with that this morning and said, hey, I need you to come up with a funny story, I felt very on the spot because, I got lots of funny stories, but like now you made me feel unfunny about it, right? But then before we kick this off, you said, hey, make it a fitness related story. So I got a good one for you guys. So a little over a year ago, I had connected with our dear friend here, Mark Z, the fitness ninja, and said, hey, man, I think it might be time to get my shit together. It's like I ride my bike a lot, but I still eat like a dumpster fire. It might be time to call in the pros to get my life together here. And so he's like, we have a conversation and we're talking about my goals and kind of what I want to do. And so I'm like telling him how I've got this messed up elbow from riding BMX my whole life. And I'm like, I can't do certain movements. It's all jacked up, like whatever. He's like, all right, no problem, man. Not a big deal at all. He's like, come by the gym on Monday morning and I'll get you some stretches and we'll get you right, dude. And I'm like, all right, cool. So Monday morning comes, I get up at 4 a.m. I do my typical hour of cycling and cardio, come home, get cleaned up, get myself kind of put together for the day, low key. And I'm like, I'll stop by the gym, get these stretches, and I got some errands I got to go run. I got some shit to do, no big deal. So I'm like, I'm going to get a little stoned before I go down there. And I roll up to the gym and I walk in and I'm like, what's up, man? Mark, how you doing? He's like, all right, you ready to get to work? I'm like, well, yeah, man, I got, that's why I'm here to get some stretches, right? He's like, no, this is what we're doing. And he points to the board and he's got the fucking Murph on the board. And he's like, so you're going to go run the parking lot. And if you do these, 3 laps or whatever the hell it was, he's like, that's a mile. Then you're going to come in and you're going to do push-ups, squats, and pull-ups. And I was like, dude, I fucking told you I can't do push-ups like or pull-ups. My elbow's jacked up. And he's like, oh no, you're gonna be fine. Just do it in like sets. I'm like, what? No, what the fuck? Like, no, I can't. First of all, I'm in like no shape ready to do this. I've already done my cardio workout for the day. I'm baked as a tater. And the problem is there's just no saying no at that point. Like Stuman rolls in and like all these people are there and it's like this thing. I'm like, fuck, what have I gotten myself into? So yeah, that's my mistake of a funny story. First of all, trusting Mark when he says, hey, come in, don't worry, it'll be fine. And
it was fine. It was totally fine.
yeah, it was totally fine. It was an hour and a half of me going, what the fuck did I get myself into? Like, I'm an idiot. And I'm pretty sure, like, you know, when I went to run that last mile after doing 300 squats, every step was like a jolting reminder of the mistake that I had made before going to the gym and trusting Mark that it would just be some stretches.
I love it. I love it.
I never heard that first part. That's what makes it even better, man. You're just trying to have a nice, relaxing stretch, and Mark's like, hey, why, hello there.
He's a deceptive little evil man, but I love him all the same. And so here we are. No big deal. Best shape of my life a year later. It's fine.
Yep, I love it. I love it. So for those of you who don't know, like Drewbie, you know, I just consider you a master salesman, and the way that you process, or the way that you go through the process, and you know, Jonathan and I both bought from you, and you're one of those guys, like people know that you're selling them on something, and we still buy anyway, which is rare. That's a rare quality, I think, in sales. And you know, for a lot of fit pros, one of the things John and I always hear is, I don't want to feel salesy, right? I mean, that's one of the biggest complaints. It's like, I just want to help people. Well, you know what? You can't help people unless they're paying you. I mean, you can, but you're going to be broke and homeless. So what I want you to talk about a little bit is your system and that empathy that you employ in your sales process, and how that's really helped you be and have the success that you have.
Well, I think it's good to start with the fact that like I never planned to be in sales. I always hated like the salesy cliche kind of person, like car salesman and like pushy salespeople. Like I was never really into that. And then, you know, over the years, I got into some things that got me into sales. And so my thought was always like, let me just try to help people, right? Like if I have a product or a service, what does that product or service provide and how can it be of value to somebody? And how can I just help them, not necessarily sell them, but how can I help them make a decision to move forward? Because that's like the hardest thing for most people, is just to make a damn decision. And then, you know, once they've made the decision, they've got to like fulfill on it. They've got to take action. And so for me with like sales, it's always been kind of the like, if I'm ever involved in a transaction with like a pushy salesperson, like I've literally walked out of stores and gone somewhere else to buy, like driven across town to buy from somewhere else if I get somebody that I just like don't want to deal with. And so for me, I'm always like, hey, if I'm going to sell someone on this product or service and I'm confident in it, right? Because I have to believe it can help somebody. But if I wholeheartedly believe that what I offer can help someone, it's kind of my duty to like give them that help and help them make a decision to get to that next goal in their life, or, you know, to help them solve that problem that they've been struggling with. And as long as you're focused on that service and the help, and you believe in the product or the service that you offer, like it should be pretty easy to ask someone to give you the money to like get help. Now, like that I think is the hard part for a lot of people, is they sell out of their own pocket. You know, if you're asking someone for $1,000 a month for a service, but you're not willing to pay $1,000 a month or more for a service of some sort, you're going to not be confident in your delivery because you're selling out of your own pocket. And, you know, yes, you can kind of get past it, but honestly, it's always there. Like you can always hear the inflection in someone's voice when they're asking for an amount of money that they're like scared to ask for. It's just natural. So you have to work through that, and you have to be willing to reinvest in yourself on the journey so that you'll feel confident asking for more and more, and being willing to say, yes, I wholeheartedly believe in this enough that I would buy it for my family, for my friends. And that's why I want you to have the best opportunity to solve the problem with this product or service, because that's what we do. We are the best in the business. We have the best reviews for a reason. We care about our clients, and that's what we're here to do, is to help you solve this problem, to help you get where you want to be. And that's just always my focus with every conversation. And you know, I'm in sales, so there are certainly times where I've caught myself being salesy and more pushy than I normally would. And typically those are the conversations where I don't close the deal, because I'm not being genuine, I'm not being authentic. So that's my sales process in a nutshell. It's just like, ask questions, get to understand what the problem really is, because there's usually two or three, but there's one specifically that's like keeping them up at night and making them want to move forward. So then it's like, hey, what's the consequence if you don't do this? How long are you willing to live with that consequence? Do you want to just take action and get it done today? And that's it.
That's like 5 or 6 gold nuggets right there. So like, if you're listening right now, rewind that, write down those gold nuggets, because, you know, Drew, you just hit on from everything from having integrity as a salesperson, not selling from your own pocket, which do we all go through that? That's imposter syndrome we talk about all the time. And then coming from a place of service, man. You know, it's really simple. When we just help people get what they want, we always end up get what we want in the end through that process. But it's shifting that mindset of how do I give versus what I take, which is what I love so much about you, man, because I see you do it every single day, and all the lives that you're changing. And it sounds really simple, because the truth is, it is simple. You just have to do it.
Well, and I really appreciate, and this is something that John and I talk to our coaches about. You know, you said it's your duty, right? And I think when we get wrapped up in the salesy part of sales, people forget that. And when people are coming to us, they're trying to solve a problem. Like in any sales situation, if you walk into the furniture store, you're trying to solve the problem because you got a shitty couch, and your wife's like, we need a new couch. And you're like, I don't want to buy a couch. So you have a problem to solve, right? So even in those situations, like, it's the salesperson's obligation and duty to help you solve that problem. And I think we just forget that. We get wrapped up in, well, you know, it's a lot of money and this and that. No. Somebody comes to you with a problem, and you, like you said, you have the solution for it, and you wholeheartedly believe it. It's our duty to make it happen and to do whatever we can, you know, again, you know, ethically and legally and all that, but to solve that problem. So I'm so glad you said that, because everyone just gets gun shy at some point. And then the other thing, you know, you're VP of Break Free Academy, and there's a program called Apex that John and I are part of, and we're in the upper tier, which means we invest a lot of money every month. I told you the other day, John, I told Drewbie, I said, you know, when I see that payment come through every month, and I wake up and I see the email that it ran, I'm like, oh shit, I got to get up and work. Because it's a good chunk of change, folks. And, you know, but I've noticed even after being in Apex, I'm so much more willing and ready and able to ask for more and more and more, because I've invested all this in myself, and I know that I'm worth it, and I see the return I get. So I know if someone else is out there willing to invest in my fitness services or my coaching services or whatever it may be, that, you know, I know I can solve their problem, and I know they're going to get their ROI as well.
That's really what it comes down to. Like, you got to know that you can deliver on your promises. And, you know, especially with what we do, like, Ryan always taught me, man, sell on worst case scenario. Like, okay, worst case scenario, you make this investment in yourself, you don't do any work, and you lose out on, you know, the monthly investment. But are you the kind of person that makes an investment and then doesn't do the work to make sure you get an ROI? No. Well, okay, so what's the problem? Right? Like, you know, you're going to make this investment. The potential is here. Worst case scenario, you make the investment and you don't do the work, because that's the only way you don't get a result in anything that you do, is if you don't do the work. Now, of course, there are situations where you might try to like launch a company or a, you know, e-commerce store or something, and it never really picks up. but it's only a failure if you decide to quit, because you started it. Now you just got to work for it and wait until it catches fire. But if you quit and you say, you know what, this isn't working, I'm going to shut it down, then yeah, of course it was, there was a loss. Okay. But you accepted that loss by quitting and walking away instead of sticking to it and just doing what you had to do to get the return on the investment, putting in the damn work. That's the difference.
Yeah,
That's where so many people screw up.
It's funny you mentioned that, man, because we do the same thing and we teach the same thing. It's so easy to tell someone when they come into the gym or they come meet with you for a consultation, like, yeah, I can get you to lose 20 pounds in 4 weeks. Doesn't take any skill, but getting them to understand worst case, if you do the work, here's what we're looking at getting. And those types of clients end up being the right kind of clients. And the ones that balk at that, well, they're probably not the right fit to begin with. So one of the questions I have for you, man, and it's something me and Mark talk about in our Fit Pro Collective program all the time, is for someone that hasn't sold those high ticket services and they haven't developed the belief of that level yet that you're talking about, like, hey, I know I'm going to deliver what I deliver and I stay true to my work, because maybe they're just starting out. What were some of those steps that you've gone through in your career that helped you level up, not only on the mindset of that I'm going to deliver on what I deliver on, but being willing to be comfortable asking for those higher ticket prices as you raise your value?
So I think, it's something that for me, especially because of the programs I got into selling pretty quickly, I had to look at, if I hadn't invested monetarily to that specific number, like, could I relate it to something? Like, could I relate it to another investment that I've made along the way? Like with our executives top tier program, it's an investment. But for me, when I think about that, like, I've invested that much into coaching now, but like a year and a half ago when I started with it, I hadn't. But I thought, you know what, I did pack up and move my entire family across the damn country to be working with a mentor. So like monetarily, maybe it is about the same. It was just a different type of investment that I had to make, right? Like I sold my house, walked away from a 6-year career in insurance to start over. So it was like, what to relate to your question is just like, hey, what is the investment that I've made that's comparable to what I'm asking for? And I still think you have to have the confidence in your ability to deliver on that service, because if you know that you're going to give them far more than the value of what the actual investment is, then hey, it's no big deal. But I think where people get scared is that they know they're asking for a significant number and they're not confident in their ability to deliver a minimum that amount of return or more. Like for me, anytime someone comes into one of our programs, if I can't like help them double or triple their investment, like I feel bad even asking for it. But I know when I'm talking to somebody who is an action taker, who is coachable, who is ready to make that commitment to themselves, because the money for us is great. Yeah, we want to build a company, but like we care about helping people. That's what's important to us, because the success we bring to the other people is what helps us be more successful. And so for someone who's selling a higher ticket program or a product or service, you just need to be damn comfortable that you're going to deliver that much value or more. And then you should have no problem asking for that specific amount.
See, I think that's something we can all relate to. I can I can look at Mark and tell like the gears were turning when you were talking about what's that translatable investment that you've made. For a lot of coaches listening to this, it might be certifications that they've gotten. It might be getting a 4-year degree like I did. It might be the years it took them to get to the point where they like, hey, I know the exact process to get you there because I've worked my ass off 4 years getting this process to where I know it is going to get the return that you're looking for. So I think that's really important for the listeners on the show right now to understand that it's okay, but looking at what are those other things you're doing, and because that has value as well that the person's getting with the services they're buying from you. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. I want to shift gears just a little bit. So Drewbie, I've known you for a couple of years now. You are one of the most structured human beings that I've ever known. I know you've posted screenshots of your iPhone calendar or Google Calendar numerous times over the last couple of years. And every time you do, someone goes, oh man, and those are people in our network that are already structured and disciplined. So talk about where that came from, where that discipline came from, and then why that structure is so important for you in every aspect of life.
So for me, when I started down this path of personal development, a lot of the YouTube videos that you listen to, Jim Rohn and Ed Milet and Les Brown and all those guys, they talk about y'all get 24 hours in a day. And if you want to be successful, you have to be intentional with those 24 hours that you get each day. And so when it all started, you got to remember I was working a 9-to-5 job selling insurance. And then I started doing this marketing and funnels on the side, this website building stuff. And I was doing that so I'd work my 9-to-5 and then I'd come home and then I'd have dinner and sit with my wife and he was probably 2.5 at the time, for an hour or two. And then when they'd settle in for the night, I'd be upstairs from 7:30 to 11:30 working on this marketing business and learning these different, pieces to using social media to generate leads and sales. And I kind of went too far, right? Like it was all work all the time. I wasn't making time for my family. I wasn't being as conscious of my health and the things that I knew I needed to do. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to make this investment in, a nice road bike because I want to get my health in order. And I know to lose weight, I need to do cardio. I'm fat. Like I love food. I got to eat. But if I want to stay consistent, like I got to burn calories every morning. And I don't necessarily, like at the time, I wasn't going to the gym and I wasn't doing any lifting or anything like that. It was literally just like, I need to do cardio. So I would get up, and my wife was a nanny at the time. So like she had to be out the door by 7:30. So for me, it was like, hey, if I want to be able to get up every day and do an hour of cardio each morning, I'm going to have to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning I think it was like 4:30 back then, but like, I got to be up at 4:30. So I'm riding and working by 4:45 so that I can be off and done by 5:45 so that I can take 15-minute shower, get her up at 6, get my son up, get them breakfast, get them packed for the day, get them out the door by 7:30, and then to the office by 8 to work at the insurance agency for the day so I could get shit going there, come home at 5 o'clock. Then I needed to have a couple hours of family time because that, again, if it's not on the calendar, I wasn't doing it and my family wasn't on the time at the calendar. So I kind of like fucked up. Let's just be honest. And I put them on the back burner, which that caused other issues. So as things progress and I've, gotten more intentional with my time, that's why it's all on the calendar. Like everything I do has to be on the calendar and I have to account for it so that I know that it'll get done, because at this point I'm running at full speed and I don't have time to stop and think about like, what do I need to do or where should I be right now? It's more like I know every minute of the day is structured. I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night. I wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I've got my cardio. I've got my breakfast. I've got family time in the morning. I take my son to school Monday through Friday. So that's on the calendar. I have education and meditation time every morning to read a book. Then I've got emails and follow up and CRM. And then I schedule my calls for the afternoon because I want to be a little more wide awake and kind of ingrained in the business and what I'm doing, so that when I get on sales calls, like I'm in that mindset, I'm in that frame to have those kinds of conversations. Then I got to close out my day at 4 o'clock so I can schedule everything, make sure it's good to go. In the car, home by 5, get my son to karate at 5:30, back home for dinner at 6. Couple hours of family time. Then I got to set my day for the next day. Then I got to be asleep so I can do it all again, because that's how I operate 7 days a week.
7 days a week. My my wife Laura, she goes, he even does that on Saturday and Sunday. And and my wife's a hard worker too. She's like, yeah, I don't know about that. I hope you guys picked up on literally all of that, because the discipline equals the freedom. And I don't know how many times we have to say it, and maybe we'll just plaster it all over the place and we'll keep talking about it and talking about it and talking about it until you realize it. But it really does free up your mind to actually think about the things we need to be thinking about, instead of always wondering what's going to happen next. And John, we hear a lot from some of our coaches, like, I feel lost. It's because there's no structure. People are just waking up and winging the day and hoping and wishing and praying and whatever that things are going to happen, instead of doing our part in predicting what can, and shit goes sideways, and we all know that, and things will happen and whatever. But having that structure to always fall back into is so critical. It's like having a meal plan. I give you a meal plan, you decide to go have margaritas and tacos for lunch and whatever. I know it's going to happen.
Guilty.
But then you have a plan to fall back into, instead of everything just going off the fucking rails, from that moment forward. So it's, again, I really do commend you for, I'll be honest, I don't have that type of structure. I'm structured and I know what's happening most days, but I don't have it that dialed in like you do. So, I mean, truly kudos to you for operating in that manner. And it's no wonder that you have the success that you have.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And it's just intentionality. And I think the other part of it, and this is really important for like the coaches to understand, when you control your time, everybody else will have more respect for it. So instead of being like, hey, well, I'm open all day on Thursday for coaching, it's like, no, hey, here's a link. I'm going to need you to schedule some time that fits your calendar, but this is what's available right now. So whatever works best for you, this is when you need to sign up and get it done. And you kind of like force them to take action, because like, I respect my time. I put it on a calendar. I want to make sure I can give you my full attention for 30 minutes or 40 minutes, however long. Like, this event is on the calendar. And I know as soon as I hang up here, I've got 5 minutes to turn and prep myself for the next call. It's right away. So my calendar is just stacked. So I know what I'm doing. And when someone hits me up and it's like, hey, can we have a conversation? Absolutely. Do you want to chat here in messages, or do you want to set up a call? A call. Okay, cool. Here's my link. This is the times that I take phone calls. The rest of it, I'm busy. So I would love to have a conversation with you on the phone if that's your preference, because I don't really care either way. But like, if you want to talk on the phone, we do it on my time. It's like a power move. There's been a few people that have complained, but you know what? Those are the same people that when you make allowances for them and you give them special treatment before they even start paying you, then once they start paying you, they're even worse.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just don't need a client if they can't respect your time the way that you respect your time.
Yep. Man, ain't technology great? Like, Mark, do you remember the days of the big old master appointment book in the gyms? Yeah. And you had the highlighter system, and when you were brand new, you had your name and all the availability, but you like hide it from the person going, what I have this time open on Thursday, because you don't want them to see that like you're not doing shit on Thursday.
Didn't want anybody to book 7 p.m. on Friday. That's for
right.
Sure. But it's open. No, it's not. It's not.
I forgot to pink it out.
So here's something else I'm curious about, and I don't think I've really ever asked you this, Drewbie. So you lost 100 pounds, and it's funny because most of the people in our circle that know you now have no idea, what you used to look like. And so every now and then you put a picture up on social media, and people are like, oh my God. How did people, if they did, I'm assuming they did, how did people treat you differently when you lost that weight?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I got a lot more respect, honestly, both from especially the people who knew me, like to see that drastic change, like, and to know what had to happen to get there. Cause like, I mean, I'm not at this point, it's funny because I take a picture like of myself working out every day. I'm that dude on social media that's like, what's up, y'all? It's 4:30 in the morning. Let's get to it. And that always felt kind of like a douchey thing to do. But what's interesting is like showing people that journey and going through it and letting others live vicariously through that story and be like, hey, if he can lose 100 pounds, like I can lose 20. Or I can, like, if he can ride his bike 200 miles in a day, like I can certainly go ride around the block for 15 minutes. And I've had people that have, reached out to me and been like, hey, I just want you to know, man, like, I really appreciate you posting that stuff every day, because like it motivates me to get up and get after it. And it's such a surreal feeling, because it was just part of the process. For me, it was like accountability. Like, hey, I said I'm going to do this. Here's proof that I'm doing it. And it just fires people up. And so having, gone through that journey of being big and then losing weight and then gaining it back and then losing it again and then gaining it and losing it over the years, like I've gotten a lot more stable now, thanks to having a guy that I can, say tortures me a couple times a week and gives me a lot of shit about doing these, 75 hard programs and all this stuff. But the difference is you get a lot more respect from everyone. When someone sees me now, I've got muscles and I'm a little more well-toned and I'm put together. And if they knew me back then and they see me now, that respect is even higher because they're like, holy shit, man, you had to put in some work to get there.
Yeah.
And when you talk to somebody and tell them that story, if they've got any experience along that same line of losing a significant amount of weight, they know just how difficult it is to do that and what it legitimately takes to do it without having a fad diet or, getting your stomach shrunk. And I'm not hating on those things, but like to do it the old school way, it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, again, for you Fit Pros listening, here's a man just sharing his story and influencing people in the health and fitness realm, and he's not in health and fitness. So share your damn story. Don't do the 8-pack ab shot. We rail on those people all the time, but share the journey, share your struggles. Like we all have them. I've said for years, like I'd just be a fat little Mexican if I wasn't a trainer, because I love to eat too, man. I love to throw down. Oh man, food's so great. But part of the draw and getting people into your realm is truly just showing who you are and being vulnerable and talking about your struggles, because then people know, hey, you're a human. Like I'm not Mike O'Hearn. And for those of you who don't know, go look that dude up. He's like 52. He doesn't have an ounce of fat on his body. Hadn't had a carb in like 8 decades. I mean, it's just unreal, but it's so unreal that it's unreal for most people to have any like semblance of relation to that dude. But the rest of us, we're just out here working hard like everyone else. And you have to be willing to put that out there if you really want to grow your business.
Yeah, man. And especially for everyone with moving to the social media process, right? Facebook and Instagram, like there are thousands of potential clients out there who would 100% pay you to show them how to get to their goals, especially in the fitness industry, because at this point, people just need help. They need guidance. They need accountability. They need somebody that's relatable to themselves so that when they hear the story and they see the results and they can actually like put 2 and 2 together and they have a conversation with somebody, they get to know, like, and trust them. That's what starts the sales conversation, is that know, like, and trust factor. Then it's a lot easier. People make it too difficult on themselves because they try to do like the same thing that, all these other major advertisers do and all, like be you, be authentic, share your story. Because let's be honest, everyone here and everyone who's listening, like you're not ready to take on thousands of clients at a time anyways. So attract like 3 or 4, get a good base, get comfortable there, then start building some more, but share your journey that you're going through while doing this. And you're going to attract more people who like you, who know you because of the content you share, and who are going to trust you because of the conversations you have and the value that you provide with 0 expectation. And you're playing the long game because you're going to attract clients who actually want to give you their money versus you having to get on a call and sell them into working with you. Like having been on both sides of that, making cold calls all day, trying to sell people on a product that they have to have, but really hate dealing with, from insurance to being in this coaching and consulting where people hit me up and they're like, hey, this is what I'm up to. Like, clearly you guys are the authority because I see you everywhere. People talk about you all the time. They talk about the results. Like that's what you're building. You're building a raving fan base by sharing your story and creating content that will let people relate to who you are as a person and want to cheer for you. They'll want you to win because you are the underdog in their eyes, because they feel your story so emotionally that now they're constantly engaging. They're tagging you on posts. Oh, I know a fitness instructor. Oh, I know a roofer. I know a real estate agent. Boom, boom, boom. Now you're the authority. You're the go-to person because you've built that relationship by being you and sharing that conversation.
Well, John, I guess we're gonna hire Drewbie as a Fit Pro Collective coach now. Apparently,
might drop awesome. Right there.
Oh man,
you know what my calendar looks like. You find some space in there. We'll talk.
I think you have a little bit of space from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We can just weave that into your workout.
Just on the cycle. Just all right, John. This is what we're gonna talk about today. Don't mind my wheezing. I'm in a hot spot.
Love it. All right. So. Man, that's awesome, man. So before we wrap up, have a few fun questions for you.
Oh, boy.
So here we go. Favorite cartoon as a kid?
Real Monsters.
Oh, okay. I got down with some Real Monsters. I remember that. It took me a second. I was like, oh, yeah.
I got a big Real Monsters tattoo on my arm.
Oh, it's serious. There you go.
I'm dedicated, boys. Yes, sir.
I love it. Pop-Tarts or toaster strudel?
Pop-Tarts. Cinnamon
Frosted.
Boys. The cinnamon boys all day. Warmed up or cold, I really don't care.
There's this running joke in the Tough Mudder community with Pop-Tarts because a few years ago, the lady that won the world's toughest, like that was a staple of her meals all night long, were just cold ass Pop-Tarts. And man, I can tell you, when I did it, fucking delicious, man.
They're every bit of things that you shouldn't have for breakfast, and I love them. It's been a long time since I had them, actually. My trainer tells me I can't have good shit like that anymore.
Sounds like a wise guy. Last question. I have a feeling I know the answer to this, but we'll ask it anyway. If you could put a message on a billboard for everyone to see, what would be on the billboard?
You want me to say crush the day before it crushes you? Because that's the answer.
You, man.
That's the fucking answer. Like, I would brand the shit out of it. I would just put that up there, and that would be it.
I love it. So tell the peoples where they can find you, how they can interact with you more, like anything you want to let people know to get in your ecosphere.
Well, first, let me just say thank you for the opportunity to be here. I love you fellas. It's always a pleasure getting some time to hang out and chat and share stories. We always learn something about each other that we just didn't know, which I think is the sign of a true friendship. So thank you again. As for me, again, Drewbie Wilson on Facebook, Instagram at Drewbie Rides or at Crushing the Day. I have my Crushing the Day podcast. I have my book available on Amazon, Crushing the Day.
Best-selling book.
Yes, sir. Still a bestseller more than 2 weeks later, as a matter of fact. So that's kind of exciting. But yeah, so you can find my book on Amazon. You can find my podcast on iTunes, Spotify, all those kinds of major outlets. Find me on Facebook or Instagram, Drewbie Wilson. And yeah, if you're just in that situation where you're feeling kind of stuck, you're kind of like, hey, I know I'm capable of more, but I'm not exactly sure what step to take or how to make that happen, or even what that transition looks like. Feel free to reach out to me. I can talk about how I did it, what I went through, some of the experiences I had. And that's, kind of what I touch on in the book as well, how I've basically just built my businesses on service and helping people. And that's allowed me to do some pretty incredible things, be surrounded by some pretty incredible people, and just develop out some really great relationships. And so that's me in a nutshell, man.
Awesome, man. We appreciate you. I love you, brother. You're one of my favorite peoples. If you're listening to this, I have a few extra copies of Crushing the Day. So if you would like a free copy, let me know. I may even be able to get the author to sign it for you. Look at that.
I know a guy.
I know a guy. Man, thanks so much gold nuggets in the sales realm, and back to your superpowers of empathy are through and through, and it really does show. And I know John and I appreciate all that you do for us, all that you do for Apex, and we're just blessed to do life with you, man.
Hell yeah, boys. That's what I'm talking about.
Until next time, John, you know what to do, brother.
Go get what you're worth, damn it. Yeah. Damn good show. Damn good.
Damn good.